Make a joyful noise.
Afternoon, you are watching the finest television. I am your host Siwongle Lombanya, and this show is Untold Stories, a show that brings nothing but stories of society that are not talked about. It reviews everything that is not talked about in society. This week's episode of Untold Stories is something very interesting, something about the Zambian gemstone. What do we know about the Zambian gemstone? What is it that we have to know? What is the untold about the Zambian gemstone? So now we were in Kabanana area where we were talking to Mr. Stanley Mwaselungu, who gave us every detail that we needed about the Zambia gemstone in our Zambian industry. Now remember, if you have an untold story, you can call us on the number on your screen, or you can also send us a comment on our Facebook page. We are currently streaming live there. So right about now we will go into our first story, which is about the Zambia gemstone. Stay tuned to the finest television. You know how we do. Okay, like I was saying, this week's Untold Story is very interesting. It's about the Zambian gemstone. What do we know about the gemstone in our Zambian industry? What is it about the Zambian gemstone? What is the untold about it? What are the healing properties? It has the healing properties. We had an insight of the Untold Stories, and our guest was Mr. Stanley Mwaselungu, who gave us an insight on the Zambian gemstone, from the what it is about, from the healing properties, from where you can find the gemstone, from also we also looked at it on from the Bible's perspective, or Bible's point of view rather. So I had a great time, and he reviewed everything that one has to know about the Zambia gemstone. Now stay tuned to the finest television as we go into our story for today. I learned quite a lot, and I hope you learn something as well. So right about now, let's go into our story, and when we come back, we will just be reviewing everything that we had talked about with Mr. Stanley Mwaselungu, and feel free to interact. Right about now, we'll go into the clip. Stay tuned to the finest television. Now, let's get into the story for today. Very interesting. So now we have a guest, Mr. Stanley Mwaselungu, who's going to be telling us about the whats, the wheres, and also about what types of gemstone are there, the healing properties. Stay tuned to the finest television. You do not want to miss out on this. Now, thank you so much for having me, Mr. Mwase. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
I'm very honored to be here, and
I'm honored as well.
Yes, today's Untold Story is something that's very unique, something that's not talked about in the Zambian industry.
Yeah.
Yes, so tell us about the gemstone. What is the gemstone, the Zambia gemstone?
Well, the gemstone is a broad term. Gemstone refers to stones that are either semi-precious or precious, that can be used in jewelry. And in jewelry, you can use them as beads, you can use them as craft, you can use them as anything. So it's a very broad term. But then the combination in the definition is semi and precious. The precious are those that are very rare, like the diamond, the ruby, and the sapphire. Those are categorized as precious stones. Then we've got a broader range of semi-precious stones.
Okay.
But then, from my point of view, what I basically look at are the locally mined gemstones in Zambia. You cannot exhaust the list. It's unlimited. There are thousands of varieties of gemstones.
Okay, so speaking of gemstone, are you the one who discovered the Zambian gemstone?
No. Discovery is relative, because you see, there are stones that will be discovered by an individual. Like, I'll give an example of one stone called Sujilite. It was discovered by Mr. Suji, a Japanese man. And they call it Sujilite because they claim he discovered the gemstone. But for me, I would rather argue with that one, because I mean, these stones were in the Zambian soil during the times of our forefathers. And it would be very unfair for one person to come and say, I discovered this stone, I discovered that stone. So I never discovered any stone. Yes, there are people that would discover a certain type of stone, and then the name is attached to them. But then I did not discover the gemstone.
Okay. So I can see different types of gemstones here. Could you kindly tell us what types are portrayed here?
No, actually, this is basically
the same?
They're basically the same, apart from that one. This is crystal quartz. This is called a specimen, quartz specimen. Clear quartz specimen. Yes, I got it recently from Northwestern Province, where there are people that are doing mining activities there. So they come in different colors, shapes, and just designs. So if you look at a shape like this one, if you go anywhere in the world, you will never find anything exactly like this one. That's what makes them special and collectible items. So there are people that actually develop careers in just collection of specimens. So this is quartz. It's abundant in Zambia, and you find it in almost every province, but then the types and the crystal formation will be very different from one area to the other.
So you said this is quartz, and this is what again?
This is it's called a dolomite stone. But then someone crafted it to make a design of this guy that is a miner.
Yes.
If you can see, this guy is underground. He's actually drilling underground here. So it was actually made just to depict the activities that happen underground. So it's one form of art that one can make a living out of. Great. This is something very unique, I must say.
Thank you. So you know how we always hear about copper and not really about gemstone. This is something that's not really talked about. So what is the untold about this gemstone?
Well, when we say the untold story, like I've documented in the other documentaries on my YouTube page, it's untold because from tender age, like when you're growing up, I don't think any one of your uncles, your grandfathers, your parents told you anything about gemstones. So yes, it's untold. Then again, when you come on a more academic level, you find at primary school what we are taught is copper, and if you are lucky they'll talk about emeralds, but then it will be copper, manganese, and all these other metals. But then no one talks about quartz in the education system. No one talks about the relevance of the differences in the gemstones, the precious and the semi-precious. So you grow up until maybe you graduate from university without knowing the difference between a gemstone and a precious metal. That's so the untold story is actually a very serious accusation on you and myself, because we need to tell our young ones what these things are, what they are, and what they can do, and the reason why God made them the way they were made. No one made these shapes. They were made by creation.
Yes, that's true. They're quite unique shapes that I can see over here.
Yeah.
So now I have been following your YouTube videos about the gemstone and all. So in one of your videos, you talked about them having healing properties. So do these properties differ from, is it the shapes or the type of gemstone? And also how did you come to discover that they have healing properties?
I didn't discover. I've just done a lot of reading, research, and I've done a lot of traveling. And I've visited countries where they appreciate the properties that are in these stones. So like I've visited Jaipur twice in India. Jaipur is a city that has existed, or that has known gemstones for over 300 years.
Okay.
So it's a kind of city where if you visit, even the young ones, they understand gemstones. So can you imagine if Lusaka, 3/4 of the population understand the value of the gemstones, how developed would we become? How knowledgeable are we going to become?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, but then if you look at the comparison, you find that there are very few people in Zambia that appreciate and understand the gemstones. Yes. So in Jaipur, I was told how you can transform these into different uses. The like the spiritual use, the physical use, and even the religious use as well. Yeah. So I learned a lot about the uses that's in Jaipur. In China, I also visited some places where I was actually, people explained, China and Hong Kong.
Yes,
they explained to me how valuable these in terms of effect on our bodies, on our health.
Okay, okay. So what really, is there anything that we need to note about these healing properties? Is it based on a certain disorder or disability someone has, or maybe, you know?
Okay. What it is your grandfather, you are Swangile.
Yes.
So what do you call grandfather in your
Grandfather.
In your language?
In my language, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm a lost child.
My grandfather, Askulu, okay, that's what we call him where I come from, used to tell us that these trees that you are seeing are herbs.
Okay.
When you have an ailment, you are suffering from a stomach upset, they will tell you go and get pawpaw leaves, pound them, soak them in water and drink. Your stomach will stop running. Now, these other countries or religions, or let me say traditions, they use gemstones for the same purpose or similar purpose. The reason is simple. The chemicals that the plants grow on come from the stones.
Okay.
You find the silicon here, there's magnesium here, there are all those minerals that nourish the plants.
Okay.
So others are using the trees, the plants to heal, but other people are using the stones.
So
they go down, get the stones, they use it to cure your headache, they use it to cure your back pains. Indians, it's common for Indians to wear red beads, the garnets. Garnets are known to relieve pain. For ladies, I'm told they relieve those monthly pains when you wear them in a certain way. I cannot explain how they're supposed to go on. But if you invite maybe one of my brothers from India, they'll explain further. Then stones like amethyst, I just don't have a piece. Amethyst is a purple stone.
Okay.
It's more renowned in Kalomo, southern province of Zambia, where they call it Kalomo amethyst. It's one of the best in the world. But then, throughout the country, throughout Zambia, we have amethyst. We have amethyst in Eastern Province, in Northwestern Province. I'm not too sure about Western, but I know there must be some kind of amethyst in Western Province. So, for some traditions, amethyst is used to reduce intoxication. So if you want to drink and you don't want to get drunk, you put amethyst in your glass. Just a small stone, and you are drinking. There are traditions that believe that will reduce intoxication, and probably eventually gemstone as something that is very very much treasured by the creator. The reason is, like when you read books like Exodus, you find they discuss the breastplate of Aaron and the 12 tribes. They associate them with the gemstones. Okay. So they've got a spiritual connection, a spiritual connotation on how God appreciates them. So if you go in Revelation, in the book of Revelation, you find they talk of decorating the New Jerusalem with semi and precious stones. And some of those stones are the stones that we have in Zambia that are mentioned in the Bible. Okay. So coming from that, you can understand that God really attaches, has a passion for the relevance of these in creation.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And speaking of the types that are mentioned in the Bible, what are those types of gemstones that are mentioned?
There are several.
There are several?
Like on the Zambian point of view, but emeralds, amethyst, jade, jasper, the chalcedony, there are just a lot of them that are mentioned.
Okay, just to mention a few.
Yeah,
yes. Okay. Yeah. So how about other religions? What is talked about the gemstones?
I know that the Islamic people or sector, they appreciate gemstones more than the Christians. The Hindus, the Muslims, they really appreciate gemstones, and even in their documentation, when you read, you find that even Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, used to appreciate gemstones. And when they are praying, most of the beads that they use, they come from the same gemstones. Like they'll make gemstone beads and they use them for prayers. So that amplifies the importance of gemstones in our well-being. Yeah. Okay,
so are those the specific aspects that are contained in other books?
No, there are many. They are varied, they are wide, and what you learn when you read other books of gemology and the gemstone history, you find that there are a lot of uses that will be attached to the gemstones.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of uses.
Okay, could you just mention a few? One or two?
Okay, I read about the construction of Noah's Ark. I was told red garnet was put in the windows of the ark because it was dark that time.
Very interesting. I see you do quite a lot of research.
No, I have to read in order to understand and appreciate my industry. Yeah. So the garnets were put in the windows of the ark, so that they could be guided as the ark was moving. So yeah, because red garnet will draw light into the boat, or into the ark, and it will help them seek direction on where they are going. Yeah. Then like another example would be like King Solomon. The favorite stone for King Solomon, according to Bible historians, they say is amethyst, because he adored amethyst very much. And queens like Queen Sheba, that one used to adore emeralds, tourmalines, and we have a lot of queens like from Egypt where emerald was first discovered. They really appreciate the value, the importance, the spiritual, religious, and physical values of emeralds and tourmalines in those countries. Yeah.
Okay, how about today's leaders? Are there any who are passionate about these gemstones?
I know the late President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa, may he so rest in peace. I used to envy him because every time you see him in public, he's going to have a very nice citrine ring, emerald ring, and I used to say to myself, that one understands appreciation. I mean, that one understands the creation or appreciates the creation. And like the queen's crown, it has a lot of gemstones that are dotted on the crown. Yes, those are symbolic of the value that you draw from the gemstones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, the funny thing is these are just things that we see and admire, but we don't really know about them. So could you kindly give us a brief background of how long this gemstone industry has been?
Okay. In Zambia, it started as far back as the Stone Age. Quartz is a very brittle, sharp and it's a very good stone that can be used for cutting and making weapons. Those in the Stone Age era.
Yes.
Yeah, so they would make cutting tools out of quartz. They'll make it used to be called quartzite actually. Yeah, they would make cutting tools out of the same quartzite. They'll make weapons. They'll make a lot of things out of the quartz. So when you date it back, the Stone Age, Broken Hill Man, in those caves where there are those discoveries of Broken Hill Man, you find proof and evidence that quartz was used by our Bushmen or the Stone Age people those days. But then as we're advancing, the quality of use and the extent to which one can use quartz became more modernized. They started faceting them. They started to facet is to make a shape. These points were faceted by creation. So now, what modern gemologists or gem cutters do, they will cut them according to the shape that they feel fit. Yeah. So that is called faceting.
Oh, so these were faceted.
Yes. The facets are the sharp sides that make this stone look brilliant, beautiful, and attractive as it is.
Okay. So could you kindly explain to us how the gemstone is formed?
Formation of gemstones. Okay. There is scientific. There is religious, and there is just general myth. The scientific explanation is gemstones will be formed in three forms of stones because of volcanic eruptions. When magma is the liquid stone that is hot deep down on the earth crust. When it heats up, it starts coming up towards the earth to cool down. So as it is coming up, it's going to meet a lot of mineral elements that it will heat up, and some will crystallize and form minerals. So they form gemstones. That is one form of creation of gemstones. The other one is also sedimentary. Sedimentary is where water is running, maybe along the mountain or maybe a path. Then it collects different types of organic minerals. Those organic minerals, as they are being rolled by the water or the wind, they go and cluster, or they go and pile up in one corner of maybe the earthy soil. Those will eventually solidify and become a stone. So some of these stones are organic. Yes. Then there are those stones that like the other explanation that I can give is, others are saying these come from creation. God created the gemstones.
Okay, so how relevant are these gemstones to our Zambian industry, our Zambian economy?
Okay, let me finish with this one. So the three forms of creation is the metamorphic. Metamorphic, meta is change, then morphic is form. So metamorphic means changing form. So from the movement of the earth and the magma, the stone, the solid stone, the liquid stone, as it is solidified, it starts making stones. So it's called metamorphic stone. So these are stones that are changing form. Then the sedimentary is one that is formed because of movement, erosion, and all those things of organic and inorganic matter. Yes. Then there's igneous as well. Igneous is similar to sedimentary as well. So there are basically three forms of formation of gemstones, according to their scientific perspective. But then the spiritual one is where we all say, God is the one who planted these under the soil.
This is very, very interesting. So who benefits from these gemstones, really?
The only people that benefit are those that have knowledge. Yes. So if you and I don't have knowledge of this, how are we going to benefit? So the reason why I had to write a book about the gemstones is to show
our viewers.
But this is not yet on the shelves. I've got sponsors for this book.
Okay.
There's a company in Kitwe called Grizzly Mining in conjunction with Ministry of Mines. They're the ones that have actually, as I was saying, on the beneficiaries of the gemstones and all these other types of stones. It's mainly those that that know the value, those that understand what the gemstone can do to their body, those that understand what they can benefit from the from the stone. So ideally, I would say most of the beneficiaries of these stones, or people that actually gain from these stones, are people that come from foreign countries, because that's where they know what this is and what it's used for. Yeah. So on a local scenario, it would be very difficult for me to point out who is benefiting, apart from a few people that are in the gemstone industry or that understand the relevance of the stones to our livelihood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a brief explanation. How relevant are the gemstone to our Zambian industry or Zambian economy?
These are very, very important to our economy, because they can actually add to the GDP. The GDP meaning the gross domestic product of our country. If we transform them into an economic vehicle, meaning if we start understanding the value chain of the gemstones, it will be very easy for our country to understand and appreciate how these things can be, how these gemstones can be relevant to our economy. Okay. So we basically first need to impart knowledge on the people and make them understand, so that it becomes more and more relevant to all of us.
Okay, great. So how does Zambia utilize these economic natural resources?
Well, there are a lot of exports that a lot of companies are making to mainly Asia, China, India, and these other countries. So yes, there's a bit of income that is generated by the country from the gemstones. And from my own point of view, I believe the country can actually gain more if a lot of people know about this and a lot of people engage in the industry. So to engage yourself in the industry, you don't really exactly have to become a miner. You can be a trader, you can be a manufacturer, you can be a jewelry designer, you can be there are a lot of captions in the distribution chain of gemstones where anyone can fit in. The youths can become employed because of the gemstones if they want to be employed. But like you are saying, like we said earlier, people don't know. So if you don't know, how do you come in? So whose responsibility is it for people to know? I leave that one to you.
I guess it needs more research and more unveiling of this untold story about the Zambian gemstone. So have you tried to maybe engage the government on uplifting this gemstone? And yes, have you tried to maybe...
Yes, I've done it through the book that I've written. That was one way of emphasizing the importance of the industry. Because what I did is I did a documentation on the Zambian gemstone scenario, the 10 commonly occurring gemstones in Zambia, how they use, the uses, the definitions, the properties, and all those aspects that need to be explained on a gemstone. I documented them in my book, and for me, I approached the Ministry of Mines, and I'm very, very grateful to the government, because they helped me to do the initial stages of research for the book. Because when I was doing my research, I needed money, I needed to travel, and through Ministry of Mines, a company in Kitwe called the Grizzly Mining, they really assisted me through their corporate social responsibility program, and they are still helping me until the actualization of the book. When we launched the book, then they will have closed their part, and probably we can be doing other things with them. But my appreciation goes to that company and other companies that I cannot really mention here, but there are smaller companies that have also assisted me with research data, with a lot of information that I had to put in the book.
Okay.
At some point I had to travel to South Africa to do a training in gemstone processing, so that I can input in the book the whole process of how to process gemstone from South African point of view.
Okay, okay. So speaking of the book, when did you write this book, The Hidden Treasure of the Untold Story of
I started writing this book in 2007, but then it was compilation. I was just, I would write this, write that, then I would take it to different professionals to proofread and to criticize, and I like the criticisms because then I remember the first draft that I gave a researcher at the Ministry of Tourism. He said, he asked me a question, he said, Mr. Longu, yeah, you're writing a book on gemstones. I said, yes. What would be different from what you've written with what others have written elsewhere? Is it possible that others could have written a better book? Then I sat down, I said, okay, that is very true. Then I said, okay, fine, I'll come back. I spent another 2-3 months redoing the book. Then I came up with The Hidden Treasure, the Zambian Untold Story.
Okay.
So maybe I tailored it to talk about Zambia.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So that I can market Zambia and I can market you and me in any other country. So my book will be selling in any tourism point in the world because it's talking about Zambia. It's talking about Zambian gemstones. So there are certain traditional ceremonies that I've written about in the book to emphasize what happens at the ceremony and what happens with the people that collect gemstones. Yeah, because when people come to, say, Eastern Province, they attend a traditional ceremony, the tourists will end up buying artifacts to take to their country to show that this came from Zambia. And some of these things they collect are gemstones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is documented in the book, and I'm not going to emphasize very much on the book because you won't buy.
Who knows? Who knows?
This one you need to buy, then you understand. But anyway, the bottom line is we've done a documentation on the Zambian scenario.
Okay.
And I'm very confident, and I believe that when anyone from the primary, secondary, or senior academic circles read this book, they'll get something out of it.
Okay, something very interesting. Would you recommend it to them? Or when are you going to do
after the launch?
So? Okay.
Because I've already engaged some departments, government departments, but then I'm only going to talk about them at the launch. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, because I would want this to become a supplementary
our viewers will be
reader.
very anxious.
I know, but I want it to be a supplementary.
Okay, so now, like we were saying, I'll look at it on a different aspect. Let's talk about youths. There are youths out there who probably job hunting. There are youths out there who do not know about these gemstones. How can they benefit, and how what do they need to do maybe to have some knowledge about this, about the gemstone, and yes, basically what do they need to do in order to be very aware?
You know, if I had a way,
at least to keep themselves busy.
I understand. If I had a way, I would want the systems of government to which they are already doing, to increase the number of cooperatives. You come, let a government official come to an area like this one and identify youths that need to be assisted in order to engage them in a business. So you bring the youths together and say they are 10, 20, and you encourage them to go into, say, manufacturing of quartz pendants. A pendant is a type of stone that one can wear on themselves as a necklace or as earrings, or as a they can actually make rings out of some of these stones.
Yes, yes.
So, say for instance, we pick 20 youths in this area, and we give them the knowledge on how they can make pendants out of this.
Okay.
A pendant that is made out of natural stones will cost not less than 50 kwacha. So if you make 1,000 pendants times 50 kwacha, you are making 50,000.
Yes.
So you're actually assisting those youths to earn an income and to contribute to the gross domestic product of the country.
Yes.
Yeah. So the youths need to be placed in the value chain of the industry. And how do we place them? Like you asked, you can only place them when first you tell them what they can make out of the industry, what they can, how the industry can help them. Others can just become brokers. So if you don't have the passion to create, you are not artistic enough. You can actually be engaging people from outside to come and buy gemstones from Zambia, which most consultants are doing.
Okay, so speaking of where these are found, where exactly is it something that, let's say, a youth today says, "Oh, I saw a story of gemstone on KBN TV." Yes, so I'm very interested. So where can they? Is it something that they can just go to say, "Oh, let me go look for gemstone this side," or maybe it's a process and all?
Okay, to start with, most of the activities in gemstones are guided by legislation. There are laws, there are licenses that will be given to individuals, to companies, to go into mining. Mostly, actually, the gemstone license is not given to foreigners.
Oh.
They give it to Zambians, but people don't know. And I'm sure because of maybe the amount that they charge for the license, others won't afford the license. Yes. But then, if one needs to engage and to just get into the industry, the first thing that you can do is maybe go to Ministry of Mines and maybe ask anyone in the department, say, look, I'm interested in gemstones. Like we've got the Geological Survey Department. There are individuals that are very friendly there. I've met them, they have assisted me in many ways, especially when I was collecting data. So I don't think they will be very selfish to frustrate a youth who is trying to come to get into the system to make a living. Okay. But then the easiest is a cooperative, because a cooperative does not require you to have a lot of money.
Okay.
And the government has a lot of support structures for cooperatives. So it's very easy when you group youths in 10s, in 20s, and you tell them, okay, you guys, this is what we think you can be doing. I saw one activity that it was a project for Zambia Development Agency, I think, in Eastern Province, where they gathered youths and they were training them to cut and polish. But then I'm told it didn't continue. I don't know, maybe they started, but then they were training them. Then eventually, some of the youths started making their own artifacts, making their own pendants, and others are doing fine with the knowledge that they gained from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, does this require someone who already has knowledge about the gemstone, let's say in an aspect of youths, since we're talking about those who might be interested? Does it require someone who has to have the whole knowledge about this, or maybe the learning process starts from where the mining thing?
No, I would call it something similar to job on training. You know, in any activity, business venture or activity, it is very difficult to succeed without knowledge.
Okay.
So you need to understand your product, you need to understand your market, and you need to understand how much will be involved for you to deliver the product to your market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for the youth, that's why I'm talking about a cooperative, because then once in a while these government support structures can be coming in to assist and say, let us provide workshops for these guys. And those workshops, when you come out of the workshop and you come out with knowledge, then you become more you develop more zeal and enthusiasm to say, okay, I've heard what the facilitator of the workshop said, and I also want to do this.
Oh, okay, great. So it requires some interest, yeah?
Interest. First, you develop the interest, and then the interest must be supported. Yeah, because there are times I'll be interested in playing football, but then if I've never seen a ball, someone has never given it, I'll never play soccer in my life.
Yes, it's very true. It's very true. So I'll take you back a little bit. Speaking of these healing properties, you said it requires you said these healing properties they assist with people who might have some let's say you were given an example of those people from India, like maybe myths, the red bead is used for this, that. Yes, so how do we know that, okay, can we also use these healing properties in Zambia? Let me just put it that way.
Yes, you can. You see, a simple illustration that I always give, most of our Zambian colleagues that are hypertensive who wear copper bangle. The copper bangle regulates hypertension. It controls, according to what I hear, it controls even BP, because I don't have those problems on me, but then I'm told it regulates hypertension and these other body anomalies. Now, what a stone does is, this is a stone. This is a phantom quartz. When you rest it against your skin, they've got chemicals that will harmonize body disharmonies. Our bodies are always sick. That's why they need to be. We need detox all the time. Some of these stones are used in saunas. They're used in massage parlors to massage your body. So if you look at most of the gadgets that are used for massaging in developed countries, if you go on the details of how that machine is formed, you find mostly you find amethyst, you find black tourmaline, you find all the gemstones in that machine, because black tourmaline has its own effect on your body. Amethyst has its own effect on your body. So depending on what you want to harmonize on your body, they will guide you. There are people that will actually guide you to say, okay, use this stone for your ailment.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are hypertensive, or if you want to have to boost your intuition. Intuition is the ability to make out something without actually thinking too much. So if you use amethyst as your stone, favorite stone, amethyst does boost intuition. If you want to boost love, there is what they call rose quartz. Rose quartz is a pink stone. When you put rose quartz in your room or wherever you are in your environment, it will boost love and just affection.
So is it, okay, this is very unique. So is it just a myth, or this is something that really happens?
I would call it a myth because I don't have that proof. I cannot back it up.
Yes.
But then there are people who believe it helps them. So in certain homes, you find a lot of stones that are put in the bedroom, in the living room, even in the cars sometimes, for protection, for good luck, like citrine, the orange citrine, it looks golden. They are saying it's good for businessmen because it attracts business people.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are very...
most of them wear, is it a ring with
yellow?
Yes, yes.
Then a ring with a black stone. Black stone is a black tourmaline. It repels black magic.
Okay.
That's a myth. So I do not have proof, but then that's what everybody says about those stones. They will tell you, no, if you are in business and people have, all those beliefs against your business and so on, you just put on something that has black tourmaline on it. It can be a pendant, it can be earrings and so on. So now, China to Zambia, I mean a finished product, it won't be the genuine one. The genuine one will go to the people that appreciate what it is.
Okay, but how do you know that this one is genuine and this one is not genuine? Looking at, because I can see the two different colors here. So is this the crystal one, and then that one? What did you say that one is?
This is also a quartz.
Okay.
This is called a phantom quartz because inside the quartz there's a discoloration inside.
So why is it called quartz?
It's quartz is a product that is composed of silicon dioxide. It's composed of one component of silicon and two components of oxygen.
Okay.
So quartz is basically silicon dioxide. Even sand is silicon dioxide. Yeah.
Okay, you can go on with the explaining of the two different. You said both are crystal?
Yeah, they will be both crystals, but because of.
And I thought the crystal is just this.
No, this is a crystal as well.
Okay.
But then this one is changing color into something that is reddish. So eventually it may transform into a phantom crystal where it will be green inside or it will be red inside.
Also, they change color
They
with
change
time.
not with time, but with depending on the environment where they are forming. So the chemicals that are inside here, this may actually be iron. There are certain type of quartz that will have even gold in them. Yeah, but you really need to be very careful because they'll call it golden inclusion, but some of it is just a normal inclusion. But it's rumored that some of it may actually be gold infused in quartz. Yeah.
Okay, this is really unique. I've never really come across.
I'm happy that at least you are confessing.
Because I'm still trying to understand the whole thing of how it changes color because of the chemicals only.
Yeah, like I said, when it's forming, there are a lot of chemicals that take effect on the stone when it's forming underground. So as it is being cooked and it's cooling down, because it's cooler up on the surface of the earth than down. So as it is being cooled, sometimes they even have insects inside. You find a dead insect inside a stone. But then you ask yourself, how did this insect or a leaf get into the stone?
Oh, I see. I've seen some designs on maybe on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I get it now. So when they are changing color, do they go back to the same color they were, or they just keep on?
No, they only change color when a certain type of pressure is applied on them. So there are certain stones like a beryl. Beryl is aquamarine. So when you get a green beryl and you heat it at up to a certain temperature, it will turn blue. So because of the heat that you applied on it, it will change color to blue from green. Amethyst is a purple stone, but when you heat it at a certain temperature, it will turn into orange.
Is it the one they call, is it emerald green, or they are different?
No. Emerald is a beryl. Emerald comes in the family of.
We have a lot to learn.
You need a whole day for me to explain maybe some of these things. So the formation of emerald and quartz may be different.
Okay.
So what will be found?
They are different. They're not the same.
They are not the same.
But they are grown in the same area.
In different areas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are certain areas when you go, you just look at the trees. You have an idea what kind of mineral you can find in that area. Yeah, but then those, you leave them to gemologists. Those are the people that will survey and will tell you, okay, if you want to do any mining activities, let's start surveying this area. So they'll get soil samples from there, then they'll tell you to say, okay, in this area, this is what you can get.
Okay, but how long does it take for them to, when they're surveying, how long does it take for them to say,
it can take even a day. It can take, because all they do is they will get soil samples and start analyzing.
Okay.
Yeah, or they take them to the lab, then they will analyze, then they'll tell you, say, okay, in that area, this is what you may find in the soil. Yeah.
Okay, so all these when you find, you have to go report there and say, oh, maybe you have to buy them.
Okay, well, the first thing that you need to do when you identify an area, you need to go to the Ministry of Mines and you tell them, say, look, I've got an area, because legally all gemstones belong to the government.
Oh,
yes. So even if
it's illegal if I just get one and keep one to myself?
No, it's not illegal. It depends on how you've acquired it. It's only illegal when you steal. But then, if you bought if you bought it from someone who is licensed, it's fine. This place that you are seeing may have gemstones underground. Those will not belong to the owners of this property. They will belong to the government. So,
but I bought this place. So what's the difference?
What you buy is actually the land. You're actually buying
Not
the land,
what's underneath.
not what is underneath. So if they discover there is gold, the government has a right to ask you, not that they can evict you, but they can ask you to say, look, we want to conduct mining activities here. They can pay you off so they get the property. Unless you, the owners, you say, okay, this is our land, we're going to buy mining rights. Then they'll allow you to be mining.
Oh.
Yeah, but it only becomes complicated if someone else has bought the mineral rights where you're staying. Then those are the fights that you hear in rural areas where people were fighting, investors were fighting, because someone will claim, I'm supposed to mine in this area, but then someone says, this is my farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so these gemstones, is it because they're just not talked about, or they are on the same, or maybe they are more on demand as compared to copper? Because this is something very tricky.
Okay, I'll give you an example. I know a lot of people may not like this example, but it's the truth. In Mansa, there's a mineral called manganese. So, in manganese, sells roughly at about $70 per ton.
Okay.
Okay? But where people are mining manganese, not in all the areas, but in some of the areas, there is a product that is a byproduct of manganese. It's called sugilite.
Okay.
Sugilite is a gemstone. Sugilite can sell more than $10,000 per kilo.
Okay.
So if I'm mining manganese in that area, and then I discover the sugilite, I'm making more money from sugilite than from manganese.
Okay.
But then, how many investors are going to be open about it and say, we are mining sugilite?
I see.
These are the kind of things that I believe the government is working on now. They are trying to standardize these things so that they know what is going on. It's very easy to go to a big mining company on the copper belt and believe they are mining copper. But maybe what they are getting is gold.
Okay.
So you are going to declare gold coming out of the country, but then what you are getting is copper. I'm not saying this is what is happening, but it's very easy to do that.
Yes.
Or you may be mining emeralds, and you declare to the government that we are mining emeralds, low grade. But maybe what you are taking out of the country is top grade.
Okay, so there's no surveying?
No, even if survey is there, but who is going to check what quality of material is coming out?
Okay.
So I'm happy because like the companies that I'm dealing with, those are more open with the government. They actually auction their materials at Intercontinental Hotel.
Okay.
So they are more transparent, and because of that, I believe they're helping the government more in terms of revenue collection. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you find these other small shoddy businessmen, they will actually rip you off before you realize it. Then they are gone, they're out of the country.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me here. But before we sign out, your last words to the viewers, especially about our hidden treasure, the untold story of the Zambia gemstone.
For me, what I would want to implore to our viewers is, let us take interest in knowing what is in the Zambian soil. Because what was put in the Zambian soil was put by God for a purpose. I believe it was put for inheritance of the Zambian children, because once we understand the value of the gemstones, we can never be poor. All of us that are clustered here in town, we are clustered here because we want to get economic gain to survive. But then the villages where we're coming from, this is where these stones are coming from. So I come all the way from Solwezi, where I get this stone, and get employed in Lusaka as a security guard. I'm getting 500 kwacha every month. Why can't I go back to my village and start working on this and make 5,000 kwacha every day? Because this piece of specimen, it won't sell less than 500 kwacha to a specimen collector. So if I come from Solwezi and I come with 10 of these, I'll make enough money to take to my children. The only thing that maybe I may cry of is we need the government to help us market our products. Yeah. So let us all understand the value of what is hidden under the soil. wealth is actually in the soil. It's not on the surface. Good wealth comes from what is on the soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there we have it. Thank you so much for having me here, Mr. Stanley Mwase Lungu. I had a great time, and I have learned a lot on this untold story of the Zambia gemstone.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much for tuning into The Finest Television. Catch me next week on more untold stories. Stay tuned.